and welcome to the University of Trinidad and Tobago's presentation of graduates for 2020 and 2021. This inaugural event, the first at the university's flagship campus at Tamina, celebrates the achievements of our graduates who have worked hard through many obstacles, including the biggest challenge so far, this pandemic, to achieve their degrees. Let's begin the proceedings by joining in with the singing of the national anthem of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Ms. Melissa Messiah, former president of the Executive UTT Student Guild, will now lead us in the invocation.
Good day, everyone. Can we please bow our heads for our prayer? O Supreme One, origin of all being, we thank you for giving us another day as we gather here to celebrate UTT's presentation of graduate ceremony. Give us a keen understanding of the importance of the role that graduates of UTT, the National University, have in the development of our communities and Trinidad and Tobago by extension. Give us faith, courage, and wisdom to fulfill our purpose and promise as students and graduates of UTT. Show us how to effectively serve you so that all of our education, knowledge, and skills may find true fulfillment as we learn to do your will. May we ever be aware in everything that we do that knowledge comes from learning and wisdom comes from you. Thank you, O Supreme One. Now, let us bow our heads in a moment of silence for those members of the UTT family who have passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Messiah. And now, the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and Chancellor of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, Her Excellency Paula May Weeks, will declare the ceremony open for the conferment of certificates, diplomas, and degrees.
As Chancellor of the University, I declare the ceremony open for the conferment of certificates, diplomas, and degrees by the authority of the Academic Council and the Board of Governors.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I now invite the Chairman of the Board of Governors of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, Professor Clement Imbert, to address you with some words of welcome.
Good day. Although this is a virtual ceremony and we are not assembled in one place, I need to recognize the following persons: Her Excellency Paula May Weeks, ORTT, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and Chancellor of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, UTT. Members of the Board of Governors of UTT, Professor Prakash Prasad, President of UTT, Senior Academic and Corporate Staff of UTT, members of the Student Guild and other students of UTT, graduates and graduates of 2020 and 2021. family members and friends of our graduates, members of the viewing public. Welcome to the University of Trinidad and Tobago's 2020 and 2021 virtual graduation ceremonies, the first ever for the university. As a most auspicious occasion on the university's calendar, graduation not only recognizes a very significant academic achievement of our students and graduates in their commitment to excellence, it also celebrates the triumphs we have faced amid the ongoing pandemic. We postponed last year's graduation ceremonies 2020, which normally would have taken place in November, in the hope that we could have had live, face-to-face events sometime in 2021. But as time went, this proved to be impossible. We cannot postpone anymore, so we have combined last year's and this year's ceremonies. You have made history in your own way by not only graduating from a prestigious institution within the world of academia, but also by doing so in unprecedented times, in an unprecedented way. While we continue to collectively grapple with this situation into which we were indiscriminately thrust, you have managed to persevere in the face of adversity, the kind which has not been witnessed for 100 years. UTT was literally forced to go online overnight, a transition we successfully managed with aplomb. And your adaptation and level of determination cannot go unnoticed, as this was no mean feat. The COVID-19 pandemic has taught us to be resilient in the presence of struggle. It is expected that this experience will assist in strengthening your capacity for championing continuous development in your community and by extension, our country, a customary feature of the UTT graduate. In spite of the impact of the pandemic, I have no doubt of the quality of the many opportunities to which you were exposed as a student at UTT. Learning under the watchful eyes of world-class faculty, embedded in each of you, the ability to think critically, a quality necessary to spearhead the much-needed transformational change in our society. I encourage you to ensure this skill does not wither, but to allow it to manifest into a continued drive for success. Now in our 18th year, UTT has strived from inception to fulfill its mandate of contributing to the growth and entrepreneurial spirit in Trinidad and Tobago. Through its particular approach to pedagogy across all disciplines, UTT has played a role in revolutionizing not only the way its students learn, but also the way in which this knowledge is then applied in the real world. Despite the pandemic, UTT has graduated about 1,700 students each year in 2020 and 2021, giving a total of well over 22,000 students since our inception. Our students, staff, and the university have continued to attain great heights. They have excelled over the years, and the last 2 years have been no exception. A few examples from 2020 and 2021 would suffice. Both UTT Patriots men and women football teams qualified to represent Trinidad and Tobago at the International University Sports Federation playoffs in Mexico in 2022. UTT's student team won the first iGov hackathon, and Pradesh Budu Singh, BSc Utilities, won the UK Institution of Engineering and Technology International Student Prize in 2020. And Vanessa Bhagwat, a diploma student no less, made it the second time in a row in 2021. A diploma student winning a prize open to undergraduate students internationally. That is a most remarkable feat. These achievements say a lot about our students and the UTT programs. On staff, Dr. Miguel Jagasa was awarded a U.S. patent for his invention of the therapeutic exercise contour support. Drs. Umesh Prasad and Jorel Bisnath are collaborating with other parties to create the roll-up digital steel pad, a portable and easily stored instrument for practice. Imran Jan, Senior Sports Officer, was appointed head coach of the CPL Knight Riders, and Dr. Marcus Ramdawa was awarded a research grant from the U.S. Animal and Plant Health Inspection Services for his project Safeguarding Caribbean Food Security from the Threat of the Giant African Snail. Not to leave out our Board of Governors, Professor Hollis Liverpool, the mighty Chalkdust, was bestowed the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the country's highest award. A UTT team implemented the Proficiency Diagnostic Assessment, the PDA, an assessment tool for CSEC students to determine and improve proficiency in English and math. UTT Outreach, in collaboration with Atlantic LNG, garnered Best Social Investment Project for Corporate Social Responsibility in the Energy Industry. UTT has signed several MOUs with public and private partners locally and internationally, including our own University of the West Indies in St. Augustine. In particular, UTT has been collaborating with UWI over the past 2 years in the area of carbon capture and storage and CO2-enhanced oil recovery. The Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries has granted UTT and UWI almost $1 million TT each to develop a storage atlas for heritage fields, and BPTT has committed to provide UTT and UWI with $50,000 each for a storage atlas for selected fields in the Columbus Basin. UTT is also partnering with the NGC Group in projects in climate change mitigation and with NewGen Energy for research in the production of green hydrogen. UTT got a grant of about $6 million TT from the IDB for training and capacity building for the UTT Animation Hub. UTT is always looking to offer new programs in areas of national and regional importance. For example, UTT's MSc in Energy Engineering with a specialization in renewable energy was introduced in January 2021 and attracted about 50 students. A regional online master's in public health is in the pipeline for launch and will be coupled with the existing master's in health administration as a dual degree program. And UTT has played its part in the COVID-19 pandemic. A diploma in respiratory therapy started in September 2021 with 20 students. And Dr. Nicole Ramlachan, a geneticist on UTT staff, has been a key figure in public dissemination of information on COVID-19 and related issues. The university is proud to have graduates who contribute in the national context. However, they possess skills garnered from an internationally recognized education. I urge you as graduates to engender a proclivity for not only personal growth, but an affinity for national pride, as this is currently needed more than ever. This attribute has emerged as a priority as traditional work transforms due to technological advances and, of course, the current pandemic, from which we have learned so much. With a deceleration in world trade, there is an even more profound need for self-sustainability, an ideology long supported by the National University, the University of Trinidad and Tobago. In this regard, we encourage you to be our inventors, our agro-processors, our designers, our farmers, etc., to be the ones who rise to new challenges in the pursuit of being self-reliant. In closing, I join with the Chancellor, members of the Board of Governors, the wider university community, your families, friends, and well-wishers in extending heartfelt congratulations to the graduation classes of 2020 and 2021. May you use your moment in time to acknowledge this momentous occasion, to appreciate all those who have helped you on this journey, and continue onward on your journey to excellence. God bless you and thank you.
The University of Trinidad and Tobago not only recognizes the success of its students, but also honors national luminaries in their respective fields. So it is fitting that at this time, we acknowledge the university's 2020 honorees. Professor Stephen Joseph will now read the citation for Mr. L. Anthony Watkins.
L. Anthony Watkins is one of the premier consultancy-based minds of Trinidad and Tobago. He is also an expert in social pathology who has extensive experience in public and private sector transformation and development. Watkins graduated from the University of Toronto with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and Sociology in 1978. He then went on to lead a distinguished career in various capacities, all contributing to the development of his homeland. He began his work life as a teacher at Tranquility Government School and has since held roles at the University of the West Indies, the Ministry of Education of Trinidad and Tobago, and various organizations in the criminal justice system of Toronto, Canada. Watkins has published articles on his research related to business development and economics and continues to make conference presentations on similar topics. He has served as a board member for various entities, including the Trinidad and Tobago Public Service Commission and the Caribbean Industrial Research Institute, CARIRI. He is currently chairman of the Prime Minister-appointed Community Recovery Program team, selected to evaluate and design a path forward for local communities earmarked for socio-economic support. In 2019, Watkins was awarded the Public Service Medal of Merit Gold for public service to Trinidad and Tobago. The University of Trinidad and Tobago is pleased to bestow on Mr. L. Anthony Watkins the Honorary Doctor of Laws.
Dr. Kerry Dalloway will now read the citation for Mr. Edward Hart and Mr. Lincoln Phillips.
Known affectionately as Eddie, or more respectfully, Mr. Eddie, Edward George Philip Hart is the epitome of humility, but he is deserving of the title of his biography, Fit for a King, where his biographer writes, in verse, that some inherit their throne, but others, through sacrifice and sheer force of persuasion, forge their place deep within our heart, and for this reason they shall always be remembered. For his remarkable contributions to sport, culture, politics, and community service, Eddie, known to many of his close friends as the King, will always be remembered. Eddie was an all-round sportsman, excelling in cricket, football, table tennis, and even baseball. He represented North Trinidad in cricket and was good enough to be called to trials for the national cricket team and played football and hockey for Malvern, a champion club in Port of Spain in those days. He also excelled as a national coach and coached many championship teams, including his own long-standing team, the unlikely winners of the National League Cup title in 1982. He also had the distinction of being assistant coach of the national under-19 team and was a regional coordinator for the Village Olympics. However, his crowning glory is founder of the Eddie Hart League for Football, which has no equal nationally and has been going strong for over 50 years. It gave birth to the formation of the first juvenile league in the country among its many junior and senior divisions, and has served as a cradle for talent ever since, as the majority of the national team at the 2006 World Cup started their careers in this league. Eddie has been involved in all aspects of culture, representing Tacarigua in the Best Village competition and as a key member of the famous All Stars Steel Orchestra for over 60 years. He also played for several bands for many years previously. He never sought political office, but served as MP for the constituency of Tunapuna for 3 terms. He is known as the people's politician for his dedicated service to the community in and out of office. The large playing fields opposite his lifelong home are appropriately called the Etihad Grounds, arguably the most popular in East Trinidad. The University of Trinidad and Tobago is pleased to confer the title of Honorary Doctor of Humane Letters to Mr. Edward Eddie Hart. Lincoln Phillips is one of the nation's football pioneers, with dedicated involvement in the sport at every participation level. During his childhood, Phillips helped lead Queen's Royal College to national championships in football and cricket. His emergence as the starting goalkeeper for Maple Football Club also yielded 2 national championships. He played a key role in the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment's national championship titles in football and basketball. As a goalkeeper, he led Trinidad and Tobago to a 3rd place finish in the 1967 Pan American Games. During his youth, he played for various teams in the United States, collecting a number of accolades, including Coach of the Year and League All-Star. He later served the Trinidad and Tobago senior men's team as its technical director when they made it to the 2006 FIFA World Cup. While in this role, he introduced the National Coaching Scheme, which certified over 900 licensed football coaches. This undoubtedly played a role in the successes of the country's under-17 and under-20 teams on the road to qualification for their respective World Cups. He has also established the Lincoln Phillips Soccer School and Goalkeeping Academy in the United States, which aids in the development of youth programs and players. As a soccer professional in the United States, Mr. Phillips played against Brazilian icon Pelé, skillfully defending his attempts on goal. As a coach, he made history leading Howard University to the NCAA championships in 1974, with a historic 100% unbeaten record. Coach Phillips later became a member of the United States Soccer Federation, vastly improving his knowledge on coaching certification. He holds the highest level of certification offered by USSF and was instrumental in preparing goalkeeper Tommy Miola for the 1994 FIFA World Cup. Off the field, Phillips has been married to his wife Linda for over 50 years, and he has 4 sons and 5 grandchildren. He holds a Bachelor of Arts and a Master's degree in Physical Education, both from Howard University, and has also authored 2 books, his autobiography and one on the skill of goalkeeping. His work has also been featured in an ESPN documentary about Howard University soccer between 1971 and 1974. Phillips remains active in the youth coaching arena and in 2020 created the Lincoln Phillips Alliance for Professional Development, Employment and Educational Opportunities for Aspiring Black Football Coaches and Sport Administrators on the collegiate and professional levels. The University of Trinidad and Tobago is pleased to confer the title of Honorary Doctor of Humane Letters to Mr. Lincoln Phillips.
Professor Marlon Knights will now read the citation for Mr. John Sejagat.
John Sejagat has over 40 years' experience in exotic animal management, with 30 of those at the supervisory or managerial level. He is the current executive director of the Zoological Association of America, prior to which he was the curator of the Australian exhibits at the National Aquarium in Baltimore, Maryland. He also served as the director of the Luby Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to saving bats and their habitats. John has also worked as the head zookeeper at the Emperor Valley Zoo in Trinidad. Mr. Sejagat has done field conservation work in the Philippines, Malaysia, Borneo, Papua New Guinea, South America, the Caribbean, and Australia. He currently concentrates his capacity building efforts in North America, leading and expanding the Zoological Association of America. In Australia, partnering with the Territory Wildlife Park in Northern Territory, and in Trinidad and Tobago with the Zoological Society of Trinidad and Tobago as its Director International. He also works with several local NGOs on wildlife and conservation issues. Mr. Sejagat contributed to over 50 bat research projects that generated over 92 scientific publications. He has contributed to copious reptile research projects and has been involved in numerous exhibit design projects, including Disney's Animal Kingdom and the National Aquarium in Baltimore's Animal Planet Australia Wild Extremes, which won the Association of Zoo and Aquariums Exhibit Award in 2008. He also served as the Animal Welfare Officer of the Sustainable Seafood Watch program fostered by First Lady Michelle Obama in 2012. In 2019, Sejagat was awarded the Hummingbird Medal Gold for his contribution to education and conservation. Mr. Sejagat is forever grateful for his career built and founded in Trinidad. As such, he believes in giving back to his country. He expedites and promotes training and career opportunities within the zoo, wildlife, and conservation fields for fellow Trinbagonians in the USA, fostering professional development and technology advancement as it relates to the exotic animal field and conservation of wildlife. The University of Trinidad and Tobago is pleased to confer the title of Honorary Doctor of Sciences onto Mr. John Sejagat.
I now invite Dr. L. Anthony Watkins to deliver his remarks.
Your Excellency, Ms. Paula May Weeks, ORTT, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and Chancellor of UTT, Professor Prakash Prasad, President, UTT, Senior Academic and Corporate Staff of UTT, members of the Student Guild and other students of UTT, graduates of 2020 and 2021, family members and friends, members of the media, members of the viewing public, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a grand day, and I am certain that you feel a justifiable sense of pride and accomplishment. And I congratulate you for your efforts, commitment, dedication, and achievements. A sense of unease, dissatisfaction, and unmet needs can be powerful triggers for action. Somewhere in your past, you felt a need to learn, to achieve, to be accredited with an academic qualification. Today, that need has been satisfied. You have achieved and arrived at your mountaintop. Bear in mind, though, that a satisfied need is not a motivator of behavior. So where do you go from here? What is your next unfulfilled desire? Your next unmet need? The next thing that will spur you onto action? I recall with fondness and a persistent sense of delight an encounter that I had with my social psychology professor, John Arrowwood, at the University of Toronto in 1969. As a second-year student, things happened, and I had not been to classes for a couple of weeks. And I happened to bump into Professor Arrowood one day, and he said to me, "Well, Watkins, I haven't seen you at class for a couple of weeks." I stammered, stuttered, and said to him, "Well, Prof, I have a couple assignments, some research papers that I was doing, and I was really sort of in the library working at that." And he smiled at me and said, Watkins, maybe you're right. One ought not to let one's classes get in the way of one's education." I was stunned. And 52 years later, I still remember that. I have never forgotten it. How will you envision and approach your education? Past cannot know past. Future cannot create future. What you have, what each one of us has, is a now in which to reflect, to decide, and to act. How you climb a mountain is more important than reaching the top. Robert Pirsig, in his groundbreaking novel Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, shares the following. Mountains should be climbed with as little effort as possible and without desire. The reality of your own nature should determine the speed. If you become restless, speed up. If you become winded, slow down. You climb the mountain in an equilibrium between restlessness and exhaustion. When you are no longer thinking ahead, each footstep is not just a means to an end, but a unique event in itself. This leaf has jagged edges. This rock looks loose. These are the things that we should notice anyway. To live only for some future goal is shallow. It is the sides of the mountain which sustain life, not the top. Here is where things grow. But of course, without the top, you cannot have any sides. It is the top that defines the sides. This is a cautionary note, well worth considering. Might it be that we are so consumed by the desire to climb the mountain, to get to the top, that we miss the meaningful experiences and learnings along the way? When you are no longer thinking ahead, each footstep is not just a means to an end, but a unique event in itself. We are called to be in a place of dynamic equilibrium, to blend our focus on multiple things, to negotiate contrasting demands. It is part of the duality and plurality and uncertainty of nature, that paradox of creation. How do we experience this duality, this paradox of nature? Today is the end of your life as you used to know it. But today is the beginning of your life as it will be. Today is the end of your past. But today is the beginning of your future. As you live and learn, as you seek to satisfy your unmet needs, your unsatisfied desires, as you dream of the mountaintop, be ever conscious of the sides of the mountain. In all of this, who you are matters. How you live and learn matters. Pirsig reminds us, the reality of your own nature should determine the speed. If you become restless, speed up. If you become winded, slow down. You climb the mountain in an equilibrium between restlessness and exhaustion. Nature confronts us with the dynamic cycles and seasons of life, inviting us to dance to its diverse rhythms. The variations and contrasts are as perplexing as they are real. Water, life-generating, gentle, smooth, soothing, cleansing, thirst-quenching, yet rough, turbulent, treacherous, and life-taking. The wind, the very air that we breathe, gentle, refreshing, calming, and cooling, yet wicked, wild, and destructive. Both of them, in their duality, in their plurality, eroding relentlessly, but building quietly and steadily, in their seasons, in their varying rhythms. I return to a question that I posed earlier. given that we ought not to let our classes get in the way of our education? How will you envision and approach your education? Allow me to suggest. Take the time to discover your nature. Find your rhythm. Appreciate your cycles. Welcome your seasons. Celebrate your mountaintops. They provide new perspectives, but they are not the end game. See and seek value in your down in the valley experiences. Valleys are not places from which you should seek to escape quickly. In valleys, refreshing streams of water flow. In valleys, there's protection and shelter. In valleys, there are opportunities to reflect and recharge. And most of all, valleys provide us with a view of the mountaintop, the desire, the aspiration, the possibility. So as you head to the top of your next mountain, bear in mind that how you climb a mountain is more important than reaching the top. It is the sides of the mountain which sustain life, not the top. Viktor Frankl, in his book Man's Search for Meaning, wrote the following: success cannot be pursued, it must ensue, and it only does so as the unintended side effect of one's dedication to a cause greater than oneself. The mountaintop is about you, but that is not all. The cause is about others and the society. Rest in your valleys. Take the time to experience the sides of the mountain as you climb to the top, and in so doing, discover that cause that is greater than yourself. Thank you all.
We will now pay homage to the 2021 honorees. Ms. Casey Pereira Smart will read the citations for Mr. Dominic Kalipasad and Mr. Jones P. Madera.
Dominic Kalipasad began his working life as a primary school teacher. He started his media career in 1974 at Trinidad and Tobago Television, TTT, where, in recognition of his journalistic prowess, integrity, and command of the English language, he was elevated to news anchor. For 15 years, he was the principal television news anchor in the country, with his persuasive interviews ranging from prime ministers and international celebrities to village leaders. Mr. Kalipasad has served the country in the news media for 42 years in various capacities from news reporter to head of news. He has contributed to television, radio, and printed press in various capacities, working as a program manager, news director, editor-in-chief, and group head of news. He was instrumental in the development of Radio Tempo, the country's first all-local radio station, and initiated the introduction of all-night programming on stations of the Trinidad Broadcasting Corporation network. As one of the hostages at Trinidad and Tobago Television during a coup d'etat in 1990, Mr. Kalipasad continued to keep the nation informed via live broadcasts, working under immense duress. Throughout his career, Mr. Kalipasad demonstrated the highest standards in responsible journalism, as well as in speech and elocution. In the media industry, he has become the standard for respectability, integrity, independence, and his organizational and managerial skills. He continues to lend his accumulated knowledge and skills to the media industry and is now the longest-serving on-air broadcast journalist across various communication platforms. Despite his official retirement in 2016, Mr. Kalipasad continues to contribute to the media by hosting a weekly current affairs radio program, anchoring weekend news television broadcasts, and mentoring young aspiring journalists. Mr. Kalipasad has also launched a de facto career as an amateur historian on the digital platform Instagram, celebrating the country's history and achievers. The University of Trinidad and Tobago is pleased to confer the title of Honorary Doctor of Letters upon Mr. Dominic Kalaprasad. Mr. Jones P. Madera has had a career in print and electronic media as a journalist and administrator in Trinidad and Tobago, regionally and internationally, dating back to the 1950s. He is also an old boy of the Arima Boys Roman Catholic School and was among the second batch of entrants to the then newly established Holy Cross College, also serving on its board for several years. Mr. Madera was trained at the British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, in London, and based on his performance during a fellowship at the institution, he was invited to become a producer, working out of the corporation's overseas regional service at Bush House in London. He decided that he wanted to pursue his love for and interest in journalism straight out of school, and did so via the local Guardian newspaper as a reporter, rising to various positions in most of the media houses in radio, television, and print. It was during Mr. Madera's tenure as head of news and current affairs at Trinidad and Tobago Television that a group of armed men stormed the television studios and the country's parliament, holding the Prime Minister and members of his cabinet as part of an effort to overthrow the elected government. Mr. Madera, who was on duty at the television station at the time, suddenly found himself in a new role, that of an intermediary at the center of certain aspects of the negotiations between a government team and the insurgents for a return to normalcy. He was recognized for his role during the crisis, and the Trinidad Express newspaper honored him as one of the country's Individuals of the Year 1990. During his tenure as a senior executive at TTT, Mr. Madera pioneered several regional initiatives that have blossomed into the type of regional coverage of events seen today via the Caribbean Broadcasting Union, the CBU. He was part of a team that spearheaded the development of major regional exchanges, linking initially broadcasting systems in Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana, Suriname, and eventually the Organization of East Caribbean States, the OECS, which aired several of the live and recorded programs surrounding such events as CARICOM Summits, CARIFESTA, the Caribbean participation in the Olympics, regional disasters, elections, and other political developments and noteworthy events. His leadership in the area led to a most dynamic partnership between Caribbean broadcasters and the West German Media Development Agency, the FES. For his leadership role, he was inducted into the CBU, the Caribbean Broadcasting Hall of Fame. He also became the CBU's first Secretary General, with the major responsibility for establishing the institution's secretariat in Barbados. Mr. Madera also served as Information Advisor to Caribbean Community Secretariat, the CARICOM, and the Caribbean Epidemiology Center, CAREC, Manager Advisor of the Communication Unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Ministry of Health, and Court Protocol and Information Manager of the Judiciary of Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Madera's practice as a journalist and information advisor took him throughout the Caribbean and around the wider world, working on projects to reduce the impact of HIV/AIDS on CARICOM member countries, promoting major inputs from mass media. He has received several awards, both nationally and regionally, for his work in mass communication, including the prestigious Luminary of Journalism Award from British Petroleum Trinidad and Tobago, BPTT. He was conferred with Trinidad and Tobago's second highest national award, the Shakonia Gold Medal, and more recently was awarded an honorary doctorate by the University of Trinidad and Tobago. He decided to retire from active journalism in 2021. Mr. Madera has been married since 1971 to Melba Teresa Madeira, and they have been living in the heart of Arima, their home for most of their life. They have 4 grandchildren, Justine, Christiane Eve, Lise, and Jacob, and are expecting a great-grand at the end of 2021. The University of Trinidad and Tobago is pleased to confer the title of Honorary Doctor of Letters upon Mr. Jones P. Madera.
Mr. Ferdinand Ferdy Ferreira is a former political advisor and a political activist. Born in Port of Spain in 1932, he is the founding member of the People's National Movement and formerly held the office of Elections and Labor Relations Officer of the party. He was also the party organizer of the Organization for National Reconstruction, led by Carl Hudson Phillips in 1981. Despite having no formal education, Ferreira served 35 years in the public service, working on the Port of Spain docks, starting as a messenger, becoming a national officer of the Seamen and Waterfront Workers Trade Union, that's the SWWTU, then the general manager, and ultimately commissioner of the Port Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. He was a political advisor to 2 prime ministers, having the air of those who helped shape public policy, which was undoubtedly a reflection of the esteem in which he was held. His political acumen was honed at the University of Woodford Square, learning from Dr. Eric Williams, of whom Ferdy became a dedicated fan. Through this acquired knowledge, Mr. Ferreira was a self-taught political analyst, commentator, and columnist, and he was the recipient of the Eric Williams Memorial Award. Mr. Ferreira has also penned his autobiography entitled Political Encounters 1946 to 2016. This contribution catalogs decades of political history from the viewpoint of someone outside the elected and selected political arena. His acute analytical ability fortified his contribution to the existing political sphere, which is bolstered by countless accounts, pictures, interactions, and insight into national political processes. The summation of accomplishments by the self-proclaimed Dean of Doxford has contributed to shaping a richer and better informed society from the most unlikely of resources. The University of Trinidad and Tobago is pleased to confer the title of Honorary Doctor of Humane Letters upon Mr. Ferdinand Ferdy Ferreira.
Dr. Natalie Pasadi will deliver the citation for Mr. Wendell Motley.
Mr. Wendell Motley has followed a career in sport, public service, domestic and international business and finance, and environmental policy and protection. Early in his career, he developed as a world-class athlete. He was an Olympic medalist for Trinidad and Tobago in Tokyo in 1964 in the 400-meter dash, and a world record holder at the Commonwealth Games in 1966. He served 2 terms in the government of Trinidad and Tobago, in the latter term as Minister of Finance. In this capacity, he is credited with the accomplishment of deep structural reforms which launched the economy on a long period of growth beginning in 1994. Until his retirement in 2011, he was a member of the Chairman's Board, Managing Director, and Senior Advisor at Credit Suisse, a financial services company based in New York. He also served 2 terms on the Board of Directors of the World Wildlife Fund in Washington, D.C. He was also a member of the Advisory Council of the School of Forestry and Environment of Yale University. Mr. Motley served twice in Washington on advisory panels to presidents of the Inter-American Development Bank. In 2010, he was awarded a Fulbright Award for a long and distinguished career in the promotion of international understanding and environmental sustainability. He is author of Trinidad and Tobago Industrial Policy, an analysis of Trinidad and Tobago's energy-led industrial policy. He recently served as chairman of the Unit Trust Corporation, director of Development Finance Limited, and director of Pan American Life Insurance Company. He continues as a member of the Standing Committee on Energy chaired by the Prime Minister. The University of Trinidad and Tobago is pleased to confer the title of Honorary Doctor of Humane Letters upon Mr. Wendell Motley.
Thank you, Dr. Prasadi, and thank you to all of the presenters. I now invite Dr. Ferdinand Ferreira to deliver his remarks.
Her Excellency, Mrs. Paula May Weeks, ORTT, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and Chancellor of the UTT. Professor Prakash Prasad, President UTT. Senior Academic and Corporate Staff of UTT. Members of the Students' Guild and other students of UTT, graduates of 2020 and 2021, family members and friends, members of the media, members of the viewing public, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first of all express my sincere thanks and appreciation to the UTT for bestowing this prestigious honorary degree on me. Nothing can be more rewarding than the recognition of your service, whatever form it may take, to your fellow men and by extension your country. There cannot and never will be a substitute for the good citizen. Patriotism to one's country is not and should not be a negotiable item. In the words of Nelson Mandela, quote, "The ideals I cherish, our fondest dreams and fervent hopes, may not be realized in our lifetime, but that besides the point. The knowledge that in your day you did your duty and lived up to the expectations of your fellow men is in itself a rewarding experience and a magnificent achievement. What is even more gratifying to me is the fact that the university, even at my advanced age of 89 plus, did not wait to send the honor by the worms. I wish to congratulate my fellow honorees from both the regional and local universities. They too, like myself, have been honorably rewarded for their patriotism and their contribution to their fellow men and the nation. Most of them have already publicly expressed their thanks and appreciation and offered their advice to the graduates, the beneficiaries of this massive investment of taxpayers in their future and by extension that of our nation. I merely wish to remind you, today's graduates, of the words of wisdom from the father of the nation at that pre-independence rally. Quote, Dr. Eric Williams, "To your tender and loving hands, the future of the nation is entrusted. In your innocent hearts, the pride of the nation is enshrined. On your scholastic development, the salvation of the nation is dependent." This was almost 60 years ago, just as valid today as it was yesterday. Our country during this period has had 7 prime ministers, 3 of them coming out of our regional universities, Mr. Patrick Manning, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bissessar, and Dr. Keith Rowley. The other 3, Dr. Eric Williams, Oxford University, Mr. A.N.R. Robinson, Oxford University, and Mr. Basley Opande, an English-trained attorney. We have been very fortunate so far, in spite of whatever negative encounters that might have overtaken us, to elect leaders, whatever their shortcomings, that have not taken us down the calamitous road that has overtaken so many other countries that obtained their independence after the Second World War. We were very fortunate to have a caliber of public servants, professionals, and otherwise man our institutions during the most critical period of nation building, the transitional period from colonialism to independence, most of them products of the colonial system. It is against this background that the young and not so young graduates must assess and evaluate their future role in the society. That again, in the words of the father of the nation, on your scholastic development, the salvation of the nation is dependent. Will you betray this trust and confidence that the nation has invested in you? You have been given excellent advice by past and present honorees, like myself, on your mission to success. You have been warned, a degree is not an automatic passport for a job, but rather a door to that largely unraveled world of knowledge. You have been informed and advised of the resourcefulness and perseverance of the great innovators and inventors of modern industrialization, their magnificent discoveries and achievements in science and technology, from Orville Wright and Henry Ford to Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, and Mark Zuckerberg. You have been advised by honorees from both the regional and local universities of the absolute necessity for your abiding commitment. Whatever discipline of your choice, your prime responsibility is service to your fellow men and patriotism to your country. What new can an honoree, a graduate from Oxford University, now being transformed from doctor to honorary doctor? What can I tell you? As you proceed on your separate missions, to play your part in a world in which almost everything is moving towards the fourth and fifth revolution, a world in which mankind is so obsessed with wealth and materialism, they have almost forgotten who was responsible for the enormous, unprecedented success, the freedoms, the liberties, prosperities we enjoy today. The great liberators have now been sacrificed on the altar of vulgar accumulative wealth, materialism, science, and technology. The ones who took us out of bondage, slavery, and indentureship, who over the last 3 or 4 decades brought over 1 billion people out of poverty and squalor into a standard of living that we never thought was possible. From the Reformation and the Renaissance, right up to the current leaders of the Asian Tiger, Africa, and the Latin American liberators. Just remember these revolutionaries, even the tyrants and dictators. It was the vision and mission of these visionaries, politicians, statesmen, and freedom fighters. Whatever their political philosophy, it is to them more than anyone else that we owe that eternal debt of gratitude. That should be the guiding factor, the compass that directs us along life's unpredictable journey, never forgetting that in spite of man's inhumanity to man, man is still man's best friend. And this brings me to the current role of our universities, both regional and local. As I respectfully ask, are they filling the role in spite of their current ratings, of producing and delivering the quality of political and public leadership? The standards of morality, integrity, and productivity required by us. As a small nation, very resourceful nation, to meet the demanding standards of our competitors, to earn the respect and admiration of a ruthless, competitive, unforgiving world that do not suffer fools gladly. Are we satisfied with the standards of behavior, integrity, and productive capacity of our leaders and our public servants, who comprise generally graduates from our regional and local institutes of higher learning? Recent comments coming from Archbishop Jason Gordon reek bribery and corruption at almost every level of the society must be a source of concern to our universities, to our young graduates who, again, the salvation of the nation depends. Singapore's progress, its verve, its vitality is assured because the administrative machine works. There is no grit. You don't have to grease somebody's to crank up the machine. We must keep it that way. This is today's challenge of all our institutions of higher learning, inclusive of the UTT. If in fact something is wrong, it is your responsibility to get it right. As I proceed to my final destiny, where my voice will be forever silent, and my pen shall no longer be my sword of expression, as the Honorary Dean of Doxford, all I can ask you, my fellow citizens, in the words of the mighty Stalin, quote, stand up for something or you will die for nothing. Yours is the responsibility today, as was mine yesterday, to follow in the philosophical words of Nelson Mandela. Follow the ideals you choose. Your fondest dreams and fervent hopes may not be realized in your lifetime, but the knowledge that in your day you did your duty and lived up to the expectations of your fellow men is a rewarding experience and a magnificent achievement. In conclusion, I've given 70 odd years of my life in the service of my country, expecting neither award or reward. I'm, however, sincerely gratified by your overwhelming generosity in converting a DOCA into an honorary Doctor of Letters. Thank you, and may God continue to bestow his bountiful blessings on the university and all those responsible for ensuring the success of all our learning institutions. After all, like Eton and Harrow, Oxford and Cambridge, that produced and delivered the leaders of the most powerful empire in the history of the world, your responsibility is not to build empire leaders, but to mold the character, the morality and integrity of our next generation of leaders, so that in the words of the scripture, posterity will echo with pride and joy, how great thou art. Thank you very much.
At this juncture, the President of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, Professor Prakash Prasad, will present to the Chancellor those persons who have been awarded Master's and Doctor of Philosophy degrees.
Chancellor, I ask you to admit these candidates from these academic programs having fulfilled the requirements of the university to the master's and doctoral degrees for which they are presented.
Graduates of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, by the authority vested in me, I admit you to the master's and doctoral degrees for which you are to be presented and receive you as graduate members of our society.
Class of 2020, Executive Masters in Sport Management. Nicole Loreen Carter. Class of 2021, Executive Masters in Sport Management. Michael Brian Maurice.
Class of 2020, Master of Arts in Carnival Studies. Dave Frederick Cooper. Marie Antonia Elegon. Katsunari Imai. Kevon Sean McKenna. Clarence John Morris. Alison Christine Seapole. Kellyanne Heidi Wilson.
Class of 2021, Master of Arts in Carnival Studies. Adisa Luke Duglin. Alicia Veronica Rose. Alana Christel Stewart. Class of 2020, Masters in Health Administration. Richard Gregory Allen. Bonnie Wilfred Crawford. Chantel Samantha Dan. Jean Andrew Lacan. Kara Mohammed. Utocheku Jennifer Oko. Anissa Debbie Permanan. Dinali Porter Connelly. Donnell Georgia Richards Mitchell. Class of 2021, Masters in Health Administration. Franzi Salian Bowen. Kelly Trisha Garcia Whiskey. Denise Avondale Gibbs. Marsha Melissa Samaru. Lise Michelle Williams. Class of 2020, Master of Engineering in Petroleum Engineering. Perlan F. Andrews. Miguel Nigel Delves. Jade Aliyah Jacobs. Shimon Joshua Jagu. Kent Andel Moses. Anjani Alicia Ramrup. Karan Shivan Rika. Anissa Maria Rivers. Christian Anthony Williams. Class of 2021, Master of Engineering in Petroleum Engineering with option in Renewable Energy. Chelsea Adriana Bailey. Justin Dion Bell Eversley. Kiel M. Blondell. Ariel Ruben Charles. Stephen K. Cowie. Gerard S. Duku. Ramchan Maraj. Johanna Maria Patik. Chandra C. Ramnath. Adrian Ross. Ravi Ravindra Sidat. Darren Dominic Warnalal. Class of 2021, Master of Science in Cybersecurity. Joyelle Jamila Cameron Bascom. Joshua Ricardo Dalai. Kyrie Kaylee Roop Singh. Class of 2020, Master of Science in Information and Communication Technology. Brent Benedict Alexis. Sharian Mohammed. Vaman Narayan. Deborah Claire Pamponet. Deron Rogerson Primus. Shivinda Shivam Singh. Class of 2021, Master of Science in Information and Communication Technology. Tanika Ayana Best. Niwala Verna Frejimi. Leonese Darnell Marcus. Michael Andrew Mills. Shellyanne Nicole Romani. Marsh Anton Walters.
Class of 2020, Master of Science in Innovation, Manufacturing, Management, and Entrepreneurship.
Abdul Karim Ali, Ahmad Yasir Ali, Dexter Matthew Bruce, Sharon Caroline Bunsey, Zakez Asaf Mahabir, Anil Safraz Mohammed, Navin Narain, Kapenia Tamara Ramirez, Bidesh Rupchan, Kevon Shiva Singh, Ronald Bishan Singh, Christian Paul Strong,
Class of 2021, Master of Science in Innovation, Manufacturing, Management, and Entrepreneurship.
Kenneth Theophilus Darlington, Amanda Sesha Gangaram, Garnet David Hume, Nazma Khan, Kishore Mangru, Vanessa Indira Mathura, Garvin Jason Mackenzie, Simone Shivan Morin, Nandini Vasha Autar, Camille Calistia Patrick,
Class of 2020, Master of Science in Innovative Design and Entrepreneurship.
Amarnath Jerry Bandan, Hayden Angelo Rudolfo,
Class of 2021, Master of Science in Innovative Design and Entrepreneurship.
Tashi Anderson Best, Jamila Nikisha Khan, Julian Richardson,
Class of 2021, Master of Science in Integrated Coastal and Ocean Management. Chantal Dominique Charles, Ariel Elissa Dalrymple, Mikel Kataz Garcia, Lou Dillon Donny Green, Javon Adlai Job, Bisham Maharaj, Karishma Kavita Ramprasad, Sean Lennon Romain,
Class of 2020, Master of Science in Operational Maritime Management.
Olson Jerome Adams, Ravi Budram, Tevin R. Christopher, Joel Denver Cole, Jason Michael McNeil, Anika Ann Udit, Hezekiah Moses Ramnath, Brian Alfonso Romani, Elvis Clive Thomas,
Class of 2021, Master of Science in Operational Maritime Management.
Anthony Alves, Wayne Jason Edmead, Jason Elroy Maloney, Brian Lester Mills, Sham Parasram, Tevin Paris, Michael Robin Razak, Valmiki Sudesh Singh, Kudal Sukhdev, Noel C. Sukram, Reginald Arthur Williams. Class of 2021, Master of Science in Petroleum Engineering. Kavel Shaliza Mohammed, Cohen Devon Sinclair. Class of 2020, Master of Science in Reservoir Engineering. Marvin Akida Flats. Class of 2020, Master of Education in Educational Technology. Perilu Nadine Curtin. Class of 2021, Master of Education in Educational Technology. Katian Michelle Christopher. Class of 2020, Master of Education in Educational Technology with option in Classroom Technology Development and Usage. Natalie Francis Checkley. Class of 2021, Master of Education in Educational Technology with option in Classroom Technology Development and Usage. Gail Ann Shamin Joseph K. Damian Martin Ortega. Nicholas Sanka. Eva Marie Valen Sharma. Class of 2021, Master of Education in Educational Technology with option in E-Learning Systems Development. Gayasi Che Brown.
Class of 2021, Master of Education in Educational Technology with option in Interactive Learning Systems Development. Linton Aki. Daphne Bozel Julian.
Mr. Neil Anthony Allen graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Petroleum Engineering from the Imperial College of London in 1974 and joined Amoco Trinidad Oil Company, a predecessor company of BPTT. Over a career that spanned 30 years, he worked at Amoco and BP locations in Trinidad and in the USA, and is involved in operations in Trinidad, USA, Japan, Indonesia, and Australia. During this period, he also found the time to complete a diploma in management studies at the University of the West Indies in 1980 and a Master of Business Administration at the University of Houston in 1999. While the majority of his time at Amoco and BP was spent in petroleum engineering roles, Neil also worked in the production department, the commercial unit, and the change management unit. His last role at BPTT was as Vice President of Organizational Transformation. Neil joined the University of Trinidad and Tobago in 2004 and was instrumental in the establishment of petroleum engineering programs. Since completing his Master of Science in Petroleum Engineering at the University of Texas at Austin in 2008, Neil has been involved in teaching and research. His interest in natural gas stretched back to his time at Amoco, when as a young engineer in the late 1970s, he was part of a study on the long-term utilization of natural gas. This interest continued in his Master of Science thesis on the monetization of natural gas through liquefied natural gas and culminated in his doctoral research on deep-water gas field developments. Neil is a chartered petroleum engineer, a member of the Energy Institute in the UK, and has been a member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, SPE, for 47 years. He has served the Trinidad and Tobago chapter of the SPE in a number of important roles, including chairman. He is passionate about the development of young people, tomorrow's leaders, as they are the future of the nation.
Melanie Marie Haywood. is an educator with a passion for academic development and quality in education. She has attained professional and academic qualifications in a variety of education studies, including curriculum and instruction and higher education. She is a recognized senior fellow of the Higher Education Academy. She has worked across the field of education at the primary, secondary, and tertiary levels in the Caribbean and in the UK. She has specialized in quality enhancement of higher education provision in Trinidad and Tobago and the UK for a number of years, working as a consultant and senior administrator in academia. She started a consultancy company in 2015 that has been able to facilitate the bridging of some gaps identified in higher education in Trinidad and Tobago, both at the individual student level and the institutional level. She currently serves as the head of library, learning and teaching innovation at the University of London, where she is responsible for the support and enhancement of teaching and learning across the institution, both culturally and strategically. She has immersed herself in Black studies in the UK, working with NGOs, universities, and other research institutions for the development of a stronger education system that benefits the Black population in the UK.
Aditya Maraj has been in the field of education since 1991, commencing her career in the primary school system and then entering the Ministry of Education, Early Childhood Care and Education Division in 2004 as an ECCE curriculum program facilitator. She was promoted to ECCE curriculum program coordinator in 2013 and thereafter assistant manager ECCE in the School Supervision and Management Division. Ms. Maraj's tertiary level experience began in 2010 when she was offered a part-time position as instructor and supervisor at the University of the West Indies Open Campus. Aditya is currently a senior instructor, ECCE, in the Center for Education Programs at the University of Trinidad and Tobago. She has worked at the university since 2012 as a part-time instructor, joining the full-time faculty in September 2016. Ms. Maraj holds a teacher's diploma, a certificate in education, ECCE, a Bachelor of Education in ECCE, and Master of Education, Literacy Instruction from the University of the West Indies. She successfully defended her Doctor of Philosophy Research in Education from the University of Trinidad and Tobago, and her research centered on early childhood care and education, literacy, and the use of technology in education.
Bridget Adams, head coach of netball at the University of Trinidad and Tobago, holds several certificates and diplomas, including an executive master's degree in sports management. She is a certified level 2 netball coach and a coach presenter, as well as a CSEC moderator for physical education. Ms. Adams has had quite an illustrious career in netball, as both a national player and coach. She represented Trinidad and Tobago in many Caribbean championships and at 3 World Netball tournaments in Singapore, Scotland, and England. She has also captained the West Indies netball team, as well as the national team at every level. She won the individual shooting competition at the Caribbean Championships for 7 consecutive years, once with a perfect score of 20 goals a record no one has tied to date. She was awarded the Whitco Sportswoman of the Year and the Southern Sports Personality of the Year in 1991 and was inducted into her alma mater, St. James Government Secondary School, and the First Citizens Bank Sports Foundation Halls of Fame. Currently, Ms. Adams is the Honorary Secretary and Head of the Coaching Program of America's Netball and a member of the World Netball Coaching Advisory Panel. She received an award from the Caribbean Netball Association for her outstanding contribution and development to the sport of netball, and also received a more personal honor when the Mayaro Netball Court was renamed the Bridget Adams Netball Court. Ms. Adams was selected as manager of the Trinidad and Tobago Tertiary Schools netball team, which participated in the World University Games in 2016, and was appointed one of the selectors for Players of Matches at the World Netball Cup in 2019. Additionally, through her networking expertise, Ms. Adams has been able to secure international netball contracts for national players to play in international arenas, including the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. As an environmental scientist, Himawati Babulal has worked in science and cross-discipline research for more than 20 years. She grew up in South Trinidad, where she attended Irie High School and Siparia Senior Comprehensive School. She started as a scientific trainee at the Institute of Marine Affairs in 1997, just after completing her first bachelor's degree, a Bachelor of Science of Botany and Zoology from the University of the West Indies, and worked her way from the ground up as a technician and later to a junior researcher. Though initially attached to the Fisheries and Aquaculture program at IMA, she used the opportunities afforded her to work with the geomatics, chemistry, consultancy, legal, and socioeconomic units. She was successfully promoted to the post of research officer upon returning from Scotland in 2000 after completing her Master of Science in Environmental Science with distinction. This degree was accomplished through the National Award of a British Gas British Council International Scholarship in 1999. She served as the head of the Employees Union Branch, IMA, and took on the role of the Health and Safety Coordinator under the Director's Office, having also completed a Bachelor of Science in Occupational Safety and Health from the University of Greenwich in 2010. As a researcher, she has worked in many different wet, dry, swampy, pristine, and not so pristine places, onshore and offshore, on pure research projects and multidisciplinary impact assessment projects in the Nariva, Godineau, and Caroni swamps, the Beetham and Forest Park landfills, the fishing communities of Ottawa, Tuguaya, and the Gulf of Paria. Her functions included project design and implementation, budget and resource allocation, proposal grant public sector funding applications, ecologists, fisheries biologists, environmental scientists, and public outreach. In 2007, she took up a 2-year secondment at the Caribbean Industrial Research Institute, CARIRI, as an environmental specialist, which afforded her the opportunity to lead project teams in consultancy projects for private and public sector clients for air pollution-related issues such as indoor air quality testing, industrial stack measurement, and ambient air quality assessments. This fed her interest in local air pollution research and pushed her resolve to fill several gaps that existed in our understanding of the types and loading of pollutants to which the public is exposed in the ambient air. In 2011, she was successful in being awarded a fully funded environmental research fellowship from BPTT and UTT for her PhD research in environmental science. Her thesis represents the pursuit of an understanding of this issue and provides a unique and insightful analysis of air pollution characterization and distribution on Trinidad's west coast as a basis for data-driven decision-making in air pollution management. Much of her research, including her doctoral work, has already been published, and her work continues to be shared through public seminars and written segments for public consumption. While at UTT, she has also held the position of postgraduate representative on the UTT Executive Student Guild. Mr. Winston C. Benn brings to the table a mix of law, philosophy, foreign languages, and education. He has been an attorney for over 20 years and is a former teacher at Trinity College, Mocha, University of the Southern Caribbean, and St. Mary's Academy and Yeshiva High School of the United States. He attended Howard University, Washington, D.C., where he did postgraduate work in languages, law, and education before returning to Trinidad and Tobago to assume duties at the newly established Office of the Ombudsman. He obtained a legal education certificate from Hugh Wooding Law School and thereafter entered private practice as an attorney while teaching law and ethics at the University of Trinidad and Tobago and the University of the West Indies. He has served as legal advisor at various local and government ministries and has conducted seminars on behalf of the University of the West Indies with principals and vice principals on school law management. His work as a human rights law researcher has taken him to Canada as a Canada CARICOM visiting international scholar. He was also an OAS 1998 Fellowship awardee in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Beverly Chaitu graduated with a Bachelor of Applied Science in Civil Engineering Systems with Construction Engineering and Management from the University of Trinidad and Tobago in 2011. She began pursuing a Master of Philosophy in Environmental Engineering at the University of Trinidad and Tobago in 2012, which was then upgraded to a Doctor of Philosophy in 2016. Simultaneous to pursuing her studies, Beverly began her career as a research assistant with the Project Management and Civil Infrastructure System Unit at UTT in 2011. She was promoted to Instructor 1 in 2015 and thereafter Senior Instructor in 2020. Since joining the university, Beverly has been actively involved in teaching and research. She lectures in areas of environmental engineering, geotechnical engineering, and structural engineering. Her research interest is in the area of waste reuse, and she is currently researching several aspects of this activity. This interest has resulted in her dissertation work being focused on reusing lime iron sludge, the waste generated from iron removal process, in the treatment of groundwater for soil stabilization as well as for adsorption and recovery of phosphate and wastewater. Her passion for research has also led to her involvement in various other environmental engineering projects and an accomplished record of peer-reviewed publications. Beverly is an associate member of the Association of Professional Engineers of Trinidad and Tobago, an affiliate member of the American Society of Civil Engineers, and a graduate member in the Institute of Civil Engineers. Ruven Govaya is an instructor at the University of Trinidad and Tobago's Center for Education Programs. He has a Bachelor of Arts in Language and Linguistics, Spanish, French, and Portuguese, with a minor in psychology from the University of the West Indies. At the postgraduate level, he holds a diploma in education with specialization in modern foreign language, and also a diploma in Education Technology. This diploma heralded the beginning of his intense interest in exploring the application of technology within the field of foreign language learning. Upon completing his first degree, Reuven was appointed to teach Spanish and French at the secondary level, where he taught for 15 years. He then diverged to teaching Spanish at the tertiary level, and he has done so for the past 12 years. At both levels, he succeeded in applying various online and digitally based applications to existing practices to enhance the learning of foreign languages. Additionally, he has delivered workshops at rural secondary schools on computer-assisted language learning. At UTT, he did not only teach Spanish and foreign language pedagogy. He also participated in several foreign language symposiums, assisted with the planning of Hispanic cultural expositions, assisted with various aspects of the Spanish theater group, and contributed to a paper on theater in foreign language learning, which was presented at a UWI biennial conference. He is currently pursuing research into the ever-expanding field of network learning as it relates to foreign language teaching and learning. The completion of his doctoral studies has further propelled him into the more fascinating and novel methodologies that can be tested and applied within the field of teacher education. He asserts the role of primary school teachers as pivotal to opening children's minds to other cultures and language learning skills, thus forming the ideal citizen for the 21st century. Rosemary Grant is a retiree after working with the Ministry of Education for 42 years. Her experiences include working as a teacher in rural and urban primary schools in Tobago and as a teacher, vice principal, principal, and school supervisor at suburban and urban primary schools in Trinidad. Ms. Grant's last position at the Ministry of Education was Assistant Manager, Primary, which involved providing oversight of private and public primary schools, liaising and collaborating with school supervisors, conducting research, and assisting with guidelines and policies for the management and operation of primary schools. In that position, she also served on several national committees which required an input from the Ministry of Education. Her qualifications include a teacher's diploma from Valsin Teachers College, a Bachelor's of Arts in History and Social Sciences from the University of the West Indies, postgraduate diploma in Human Resource Management, Master of Science in Human Resource Management, Master of Education in Special Education from Framingham University, Massachusetts, and a Master of Education in Educational Studies from Sheffield University, United Kingdom. Her teachers who led extracurricular activities left the most profound impressions of a happy school environment, and they were the impetus for her career choices. Ms. Grant has a passion for education as she believes that it is the main contributor to the development of our society, and also that the primary school system is the bedrock of the education system. The pursuance of the doctoral program at the University of Trinidad and Tobago was an attempt to encourage colleagues who make decisions or operate within the primary school system to appreciate the benefits which may be derived from utilizing extracurricular activities as a means of providing pupils with the skills which will improve their overall performance and outcome. Gabriel Henderson holds a Senior Cambridge School Certificate Division II, a diploma in teacher education, and has taught at both primary and secondary schools for over 35 years, while simultaneously serving as a police officer, totaling 42 years in active government service. Upon his retirement at age 62, he entered the University of the Southern Caribbean where he obtained a Bachelor of Arts and Master of Pastoral Theology and Religion, followed by a Master in Education at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine. He now embarks upon another Doctor of Philosophy in Theology at Andrews University, United States of America. He has served in 4 government ministries and retired as chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation. Henderson has represented the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago at international workshops and fora in Brazil, Dominica, St. Lucia, and Belize. He has majored in 7 languages, specializing in Spanish, and is the author of 4 books: Spanish Now, Not Past It Yet, 2 editions, and Journey to the True Church. Now at age 81, graduating with a Doctor of Philosophy degree at the University of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Henderson firmly believes that academic life does not end at 33 and a third, but one can be a student at any age. Abede Mack holds an MBA in Executive Leadership and Entrepreneurship and Innovation, along with a Bachelor of Arts in Business Management with upper second-class honors from Anglia Ruskin University. Abede is ardent about the development of people and has been an educator and technical vocational education and training practitioner for over 17 years. Abede won the World Plumbing Council International Scholarship Award in 2014, which is a prestigious title bestowed on plumbing professionals from around the globe. Currently, he is employed with the Ministry of Education as a secondary school teacher, where he teaches plumbing and technology education. Abede is extremely passionate to see TVET transform in Trinidad and Tobago. One of his reasons for pursuing a Doctor of Philosophy was to offer solutions to the myriad challenges TVET faces in the country. His doctoral work provides data that can assist policymakers and improve this form of training. His research also examines entrepreneurship education and TVET in skills training institutions. His research provides a model for decision makers and institutions to infuse entrepreneurship education into the school's curricula. Abede serves as adjunct faculty at the University of the West Indies Open Campus, teaching courses in entrepreneurship and business management at the graduate and undergraduate levels. He also serves as a peer reviewer for academic journals. Abede is also an author, with 3 articles from his doctoral research being published, the manuscripts of which are open access and featured in reputable journals. Abede has been given an opportunity to work as a postdoctoral fellow in Canada at McMaster University in Ontario, Canada, from 2021 to 2022. This development has been an answer to his prayer and will help in the advancement of his academic career and overall growth and development. Ms. Josephine Torrell Brown is an advocate for arts and culture, as evidenced by her career and professional development choices. She possesses a teacher's diploma and a Bachelor of Arts in Musical Arts and a Master of Philosophy in Cultural Studies from the University of the West Indies. She recently attained a doctorate in Cultural Studies at the University of Trinidad and Tobago. Her experience and involvement in culture encompasses performing, education, events coordination, arts analysis, and adjudication. She has adjudicated at many local and regional cultural competitions, such as Young Kings, National Music Festival, Sandfest, and Grenada Soca Monarch, earning her role as the chief adjudicator of the International Soca Monarch competition. Ms. Torrell Brown believes that the arts can be an integrated solution to many of the ills in society and so has pioneered many projects incorporating various visual and performing arts aspects of Indigenous culture into her education. Her work as a curriculum officer in the Ministry of Education includes the introduction of the Arts in Education approach, Artists in Schools, and integrated arts initiatives, which involve numerous workshops and training of teachers in music education and arts integration. Ms. Josephine Terrell Brown also played a contributory role in the institutionalizing of the national instrument in our nation's schools and the national curriculum through the Pan in Classroom program. Her mission of arts and culture inclusion now extends to the tourism sector through research on intangible cultural tourism as an option for economic diversification.
Dr. Aditya Maharaj, Doctor of Philosophy in Education. Ms. Bridget Adams, Doctor of Philosophy in Sports and Leisure Studies. Ms. Himawati Babulal, Doctor of Philosophy in Environmental Engineering. Mr. Winston C. Ben, Doctor of Philosophy in Education. Ms. Beverly Chaitu, Doctor of Philosophy in Environmental Engineering. Ms. Rosemary Grant, Doctor of Philosophy in Education. Ms. Josephine Terrell Brown, Doctor of Philosophy in Cultural Studies.
As we continue, I'm pleased to introduce the next segment. It's a performance by students of the Academy for the Performing Arts. The Pan Ensemble Fusion will present to you High Mass by David Rudder. part of the university experience, students participate in various activities for self-development, expanding their knowledge or supporting university events. Upon graduating, students can voluntarily contribute to the university's network to promote interaction, encourage education, research, and commercialization of innovative ideas, and also to mentor undergraduate students through co-op training or similar work-related experiences. So now I invite all our graduates to join in the reciting of the Alumni Pledge.
As alumni of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, we solemnly swear to uphold the honorable traditions of our university. Imbued by the spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship, which are at the center of UTT's mission, we will endeavor to lend creativity and passion to all that we undertake. As graduates of the National University, we also commit ourselves to the highest standards of service to our community and country. We will further strive to earn our own place among UTT's alumni who, by their devotion to these ideals, have brought recognition and honor to our alma mater. We will provide moral, intellectual, and financial support and will encourage others to attend our alma mater and thus contribute to the perpetuation of the necessary and noble work of UTT.
We encourage all our students to join UTT's Alumni Association by going to the website www.u.tt/alumni. The ceremony is almost at an end, but before we bid you adieu, I call upon Ms. Danielle Webster, Bachelor of Education with specialization in Social Studies and Sociology, to deliver the valedictory address.
Her Excellency Paula May Weeks, ORTT, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and Chancellor of UTT. Professor Clement A.C. Imbert, Chairman, UTT Board of Governors and other members of the Board of Governors, UTT. Professor Prakash Prasad, Acting President, UTT, Senior Academic and Corporate Staff of UTT, members of the Student Guild and other students of UTT, graduates of 2020, family members and friends, members of the media, members of the viewing public, ladies and gentlemen, good day to you. James Allen stated, "No duty is more urgent than giving thanks." Therefore, I am honored, yet humbled, to be blessed with the opportunity as valedictorian of this esteemed university, the University of Trinidad and Tobago. It would be amiss and vile of me to credit myself with such an astounding accomplishment. Therefore, I take this opportunity to do as the Apostle Paul has reprimanded us to, give honor where honor is due. As such, I give all glory and honor unto God, who has been my rock and fortress throughout this journey. I then say thanks to the bearers of knowledge, our illustrious lecturers, who so willingly allowed us to sip from their cups of wisdom and have charted us on the path of global graduates, set and ready to take on the world. Other staff of UTT who provided administrative support and auxiliary functions, to you we say thanks. Gratitude. Gratitude to our families, for you have been a beacon of strength and a pillar of support. Today, we recognize the sacrifices you made alongside us. For what you have freely given cannot be equated to a price tag. To you, a heartfelt and earnest thank you. Today, my fellow graduates, as we are placed on the pedestal of glory, I ask that you bask in the ambience of success and revel in the glow of your accomplishment, because we have made it thus far. As we reflect on our time at UTT, we are bombarded with a myriad of memories that is enveloped by feelings of ambiguity. While we fondly reminisce on the good times, we also remember the burning tears that kept us up late at night and the unnerving feeling of anxiety that accompanied every nearing assignment date, presentation, and exam. Yet, today, Those struggles that once seemed insurmountable have been reduced to a state of nothingness. For we, the graduates of 2020, stood firm in the face of our adversities, slaughtering and slaying every giant that rose its head against us. In the words of Julius Caesar, we came, we saw, we conquered, and might I add, we survived UTT. Experiences to last a lifetime are what the UTT provided us with. Though academic achievement bore the weight of our voyage, the many social groups and extracurricular to which we engaged significantly contributed to our holistic university experience. We became advocates, networkers, and representatives through the Student Guild. Our annual sports day provided the opportunity for team building and patriotism as we showed full support for our campuses, win, lose, or draw. We learned the value of serving others through the many voluntary initiatives carried out by the university. Then, when it was time to zest up, we zest in full swing. Be it at the post-sports day jam or U-Nation frolic, we took the time to escape while capturing every moment of our lived experiences. Today, I revere us, the graduates of 2020, as the seeds that bloomed in unprecedented times. For at Orientation Day, we were scattered across the various campuses of UTT, planted with purpose in mind, of dreams to spring forth and be realized. Though we fell on different grounds, the hope of bearing fruit one day lingered and burned within us all. It was an investment, one that demanded time, finances, commitment, perseverance, and patience. Great sacrifices were made along the way. Our social life was depleted, families were neglected, and leisure was but an extra hour of sleep. As seeds, we depended on our lecturers who provided the nutrients through knowledge and guided care that helped us become rooted within our grounds. We were exposed to the elements of every season, from the beating of the rain to the scorching of the sun. We were trampled upon by the beasts of the earth. We have lost some along the way, as we witnessed the retrenchment of staff and the closure of our campuses we once called home and held in high patriotic reverence. The daunting impact of COVID-19 canceled our in-house classes and forced us to operate remotely. Yet, though pressed, pushed, trampled, being sunk deeper into the ground didn't defeat us, but instead created an avenue for our roots to grow stronger. We stood as pillars of resilience as we chanted the song of the Corinthians, no surrender, no retreat, no surrender, no retreat. Through every changing season, we adapted to our environment because a lion is a lion anywhere we go. So, as the sower waited in expectation to reap the fruits of his labor, so too have we waited 4 long years to yield this fruit of success. Today, we stand as the seeds that bloomed in unprecedented times. We have persevered, and as we spring forth in blossoming glory into another quadrant of our lives, we anticipate the greatness that awaits us across the horizon. Our vision is yet to be conquered. Thank you.
Congratulations to all of our honorees and all of our graduates. I now call upon the Chancellor to declare the ceremony closed.
I wish to sincerely congratulate the newly graduated members of our society on their achievement, and I now declare this ceremony closed.
We've come to the end of today's proceedings. So, on behalf of the Chairman of the Board of Governors of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, Professor Clement Imber, the President, Professor Prakash Prasad, the faculty and staff of the university, we wish to congratulate all of our honorees and all of our newly minted graduates. Congratulations, and we wish you well. Thank you.